What's going on, everyone? Death Metal Antichrist here, back with a brand new video, and the camera angle's not right. There it is. Now, today is something I did last year, and I'm going to continue to do. It's best metal albums of 2022. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10, Undeath. It's time to rise from the grave. Now, Undeath is a newer death metal band, and they've been... It's what I call, like, the newer wave of death metal, like 200 Stab Runes, Revocation, Sanctus Superworld, Frozen Soul, Gate Creeper, fucking Blood Incantation, shit like that, I guess. And this band is obviously part of that kind of style. Now, it's actually pretty good. I like it a lot. It's got some pretty solid songs, and it might be a bit repetitive of just regular, like, modern death metal, but at the same time, it's a fun listen. In going into an Undeath album, there's not much else you can expect, which cannot always be a good thing, but at the same time, isn't always a bad thing. So, I definitely recommend this album, even if it is at the bottom of the list. This is number 10. Number 10, this isn't even, this is just in the top 10. So, obviously, it's not going to be, fucking top tier, fucking, just best, most crushing, brutal, melodic, fucking experimental, fucking just innovative album ever. No. Even number 1 isn't really that. But at the same time, it's just a great metal album altogether. A great death metal album, a great metal album. I quite liked it. Now, moving on to number 9. Autopsy. Morbidity Triumphant. Now, Autopsy is one of my favorite death metal bands, and one of my favorite bands in general. I love Autopsy. Mental Funeral and Severed Survival are probably some of my favorite death metal albums of all time, and they came out with this year. They released a single or two of it, and they were pretty good. I reckon they still have their steam in them. There's a lot of bands that's kind of stemmed off, and kind of just not as good as they used to be. But Autopsy isn't one of those bands at all. Autopsy is arguably just as good as they were when they... Okay, that's a stretch. They're arguably, almost as good as they were when they started their career. Almost as good as they were. And I reckon this is a top-notch release from them this year. I really like this album. I definitely recommend it. It's a great listen, and listen to the new Autopsy, fuckers. Now, number 8 is Goatwhore, Angels Hang from the Arches of Heaven. Now, Goatwhore is one of my favorite American black metal bands, which... You don't usually see as many American black metal bands besides from Zastha and shit, so it's refreshing to see some American black metal. Now, Goatwhore, have always had a special place in my heart, just because I just fucking love Goatwhore. I've been on a big black metal kick, but also a big Fear Factory kick. I got to meet Fear Factory's guitarist, by the way. I'm not gonna fucking show off in this video, so let's just abandon that topic. Now, this new Goatwhore album is, in my opinion, one of their best. I love it has that black metal shit in it, but it also has a bit of better quality, I guess. I guess you could say that. It's not like a fucking Behemoth album. Behemoth's more blackened death metal, I get, but it's not like that level of quality. But at the same time, it's still a fucking really top notch, really good quality album. The new Dark Throne. The new Goatwhore album. It's just a top-notch album. Side note, Dark Throne isn't even in this list, surprisingly. I know, right? New Dark Throne, it was in last year's list, though. So, that's cool. Now, number 7, Immolation, Acts of God. I fucking love this album. Again, what I said about Goatwhore it being one of their best albums, this is one of Immolation's best albums. Even more so. I like this album a lot. It was a fucking sick album. I loved it so much. It was, oh my god, and this year's had so many great releases, so it was hard to rank them. But this new Immolation was fucking amazing. It was an amazing album. I loved it so much. It was great. I definitely recommend this album. I loved it. Now next up, number 6 is Wormrot with Hiss. Now, Wormrot is a grindcore band from Singapore, which some of you will obviously know that because they're fairly big in the metal scene. And they came out with this new album, Hiss, this year, and I reckon it's one of the best. I've said that about a lot of bands on this list, but yeah, Wormrot are one of my favorite grindcore bands, so I was hyped when this release came out. and I listened to it, and it was fucking amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I absolutely love Wormrot. Wormrot's just such a great band. Like, they're from Singapore too. I don't know many Singaporean metal bands, let alone grindcore bands. So it's really I really like Wormrot. They just hit the spot, honestly. Like like nothing else. Like the only grindcore bands I'd say are better are like Population Reduction and Repulsion and Napalm Death. Other than that, fucking Wormrot's sick. I love Wormrot. Anyways, enough of me fucking fanboying Wormrot. Let's get to number 5. Dark Funeral. We Are the Apocalypse. Now, Dark Funeral, I have the CD here, but it's at my mother's house because I forgot. My dumbass forgot to take it here. So yeah. And yeah, Dark Funeral. Dark Funeral. What can be said about Dark Funeral? Swedish black metal legends that hasn't already been said. They're just great songwriters in like the black metal realm. Especially in the Swedish scene, like with bands like Marduk and like Dissection and Bathory. Obviously, Dark Funeral isn't better than those bands at all, but like Dark Funeral goes fucking hard. And I definitely recommend this album so much. The song Leviathan is insane. I fucking love it. Like, oh, they have so many good songs on here. It's great. I love it. There's so much good shit on here. So I definitely recommend you check this out for yourself and see for yourself the awesomeness of this album. I fucking ran with Playtech, by the way. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. Now number 4 is Lamb of God, Omens. Lamb of God are one of my favorite groove metal bands, and they're just legends in the groove metal genre. And as a massive fan of groove and metal, and more specifically groove metal, I adore I adore this band. And this album it's that classic Lamb of God sound, but they're still like as good as ever, and they're putting out killer singles, killer albums. And this fucking hit the spot. This was an amazing album. I loved it. It was great. I loved it. It was good. It was good. And I love Lamb of God. And the album cover was really, really cool too. The album cover was amazing. I really liked that album cover. It was cool. Number 3 is Municipal Waste with Electrified Brain. Now, crossover thrash legends Municipal Waste put out this new album this year, and it's their least crossover album. It's just essentially straight ahead thrash, and Tony Forrester's vocals sound fucking amazing on this album. That's the one thing that stood out about it. Tony Forrester's vocals. He delivers a performance on here like he's never delivered before. Like I prefer the guitars and the drums and a bunch of shit on other albums and the energy and shit, but this was a fucking new level. This was like his best vocal performance thus far. Like this was his best vocal performance. I've gotta say, like I was blown away with this. And, oh my god, I remember the singles that came out, oh my god, the day it came out, I just went straight to Spotify, because you know they wouldn't be selling it at a store near me, and, like, just listened to shit out of that. It was insane. I loved it so much. It was a great album. I would recommend 100%. Now, number 2 is Megadeth, The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. I was waiting on this album for years, and it finally came. I was amazed. This is number 2, by the way, I probably already mentioned. And my favourite song, I'll give you some recommendations for this. Killing Time. What else to say? Life in Hell. What else is there? Probably not Night Stalkers, but We'll Be Back, obviously. Soldier On's cool. Oh my god, I love this song so much. There's this Spanish word that I can't really even say. That's a good song. Mission to Mars is very cheesy, but a good song nevertheless. Like, Mission to Mars is cheesy as fuck, but it's amazing. Yeah, I recommend this album 100%. Now, I thought this would be number 1, but there's one album that topped all of these, and I am going to get to that in just one moment. Now, number 1 is Revocation, Nether Heaven. Now, Revocation are one of my all-time favorite modern death metal bands. If not my all-time favorite. Probably my favorite tech death band too. Along with Origin and shit. But Nether Heaven, this is some of their best material they've ever wrote. Killer riffs, killer vocals, killer drums. Everything is killer in this stuff. Everything is killer. All killer, no fucking filler. It's an amazing album. I loved it so much. Like, it blew me away. The first time I listened to the singles, I like Diabolical Majesty. It was amazing. I was blown away with like the fucking awesomeness of this. Give it a listen. If I could recommend any album out of all of these albums, like I couldn't recommend any other, this album would take the fucking cake. I loved it so much. Yeah, Revocation's new album. Another Heaven. Check it out. Now that's all I have for today. Now I'm not gonna make a video on shit albums because there are some shit albums that have came out this year from bands that will not be named. But until next time, I have been Death Metal Antichrist. You've been fucking amazing. And anyways, stay brutal.